In the previous video on the Parquet files, we have seen the structure of Parquet files and the benefit of using Parquet files. If you haven't seen that video, please go and see that video first so that you'll get an understanding of what is a Parquet file and what is the structure of it. Here what we are going to do is we are going to write a Parquet file using Java library. Also, we are going to read that file. Here we have the data that we are going to write. This is a JSON data. And here we have the Avro schema for that one. The schema says that it's a person file, and person is having name, occupation, company, age, and he has addresses. Address is an array, and address has address line, address type, city, postal code, and phone. Let us see how to create Parquet file with this record. To use the Parquet libraries, you need the Hadoop home setup in your machine. We have to mention Hadoop home in the environment variable as well. Here I have the Hadoop home setup into a specific location. In that Hadoop home, you have to download the WinUtils and the associated libraries. You can search and find the location of the libraries and you can download it. I'm using a Maven Java project, and in the POM file, I have added 3 dependencies. Those are the Parquet Avro, Parquet Hadoop, and Hadoop Common. I'm using an older library here. It's a 1.8.1 because when we run the code, we can see the traces easily in the console. If you want to create a Parquet files, you can use the latest library. The dependencies are given here. Here I have the code for writing and reading a Parquet file. Let us see how to create a Parquet file. Parquet libraries mostly use Avro libraries for reading and writing. Here you can see that we are reading the schema string. The schema is given here. Then we are parsing it into schema object. Then we are reading the JSON data that we have seen. We are using the JSON decoder to decode the JSON string. Then we are using the Avro datum reader for reading the file into the generic record. Here we are reading the data and do a generic record, that's a person record. Here our requirement is to create a Parquet file. For that we need a Parquet writer. It's easy to create a Parquet writer object. We use the Avro Parquet writer. Then the builder, in the builder we'll set the location of the output file. Then we'll set the schema. Then we'll set the row group size. Row group size 80,000 bytes. Here it says that each row group can have maximum of 80,000 bytes. So the parser will decide, depending on the size, how many rows can be there in one row group. Here we are mentioning the page size. We know that in the column chunk, the data is written as pages. Each page size we are mentioning that 64 bytes. We have given a smaller size here because we want to see how many pages are created when we write the data. Then we are setting the configuration. Then write mode is overwrite. That means if there's a file, overwrite it. Then no validation we are saying. And the dictionary encoding, we kept it as false. First we'll write a file without dictionary encoding. Then we'll see how the dictionary encoding works. Next we are writing the records here. We are writing 2000 records here. So the same record, we are changing the name to Raj and age to 5. Then we are writing the generic record. Let us run this code and see how the files are getting created. My output file will be written into this location. Let us run the code. We have the data here. Let us look into the data. This section says about the row group. Here it's saying that this many bytes are written and this many records are there in that. That means this many rows are written. After that, whatever is written is a column chunk. This column chunk is for name, then the occupation, company, age, like that. In this column chunk, there are 408 values and it is written in 24 pages. We have given the page size as 64, so it is a small page size. That's why it's 24 pages are created here. And the encoding used in this column chunk is plain and bitpacked. We are using an older version of Parquet library. That's why bitpacked is used. Plain bitpacked is deprecated now. New libraries use bitpacked combined with RLE. We can see that address is having double the size of 408 because there are two addresses, right? So two address lines are there. That's why 816 values are there. So same way, this each one is a row group and it is having multiple column chunks. One column chunk per attribute or column. And each column is having multiple pages. We can see the file. It has created two files. This is the checksum. This is the actual file. It's not actually that much readable. So if you want to see the metadata, there's another way to do that. You can install the Parquet tools. For that, you need Python to be installed. Then with you can do pip install Parquet-tools. I have the Parquet tools installed. Let us run this. We'll inspect it. We'll write Parquet tools, inspect, detail, the Parquet file. Here we have the file metadata that gives the version and the schema details. Then we have the row groups. Also, it says that how many rows are there. Then the row group list. There we have each of the row groups. That the column chunk is there. Its metadata, column chunk metadata are available here. We have seen that each of the column chunk there is a min and max value. You can see for the name, these are the min and max value because the same value we have written there. Same way, all the column chunk details you can see here. And finally, it writes the schema that we have used. Now we have written the file without dictionary encoding, right? Let us enable dictionary encoding. Here you can see that nowhere the dictionary encoding is used. Let us make it dictionary encoding true. Let us create the file now. Now we can see that bitpacked plain dictionary is used and dictionary has how many entries are there. That's also mentioned here. Each one is having one entry, and for the address we can see that two entries because two addresses are there in that data. Here you can see that for the age also dictionary is used. Let us do one thing. Here age is constant 5, it is repeating, that's why a dictionary is used. We learned that if the dictionary size is growing up and it is more than the plain encoding, then parser will fall back to the plain encoding. So let us see how it happens. Here instead of 5 I am putting I. That means no value will be repeated here now. Let us see the age part. We can see that there's no dictionary encoding is used and it went back to plain and bitpacked encoding. Now let us see how to read a Parquet file. Reading Parquet file is very easy. We need the Parquet reader. For that, we'll create it through our Parquet reader. In the builder, we can say the file path. After that, we'll read until we find a null. Null means it's the end of the file. That means no more record to read. Let us run this. So we can see the data here.